Services went to Lanza.
Okay. Okay. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the December 20, 2021 meeting of the East Amwell Township Committee.
In compliance with the Open Publics Meeting Act, notice of this meeting was published in the Hunterdon County Democrat on November 25th, 2021. A copy of the agenda was forwarded to the Hunterdon County Democrat, Times of Trenton, Star Ledger, Courier News, posted on the bulletin board and Township website, and filed in the Township Clerk's office on December 15th, 2021.
Could I have a motion to enter into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Could I have a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Sorry.
and it's covered by a sheet. The kids are like.
Cameras are on? Okay. All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the December 20, 2021 second regular monthly meeting of the East Amwell Township Committee. Krista, do you need to read the statement of compliance again?
Sure. In compliance with the Open Publics Meeting Act, the notice of this meeting was published in the Hunter County Democrat on November 25th, 2021. A copy of the agenda was forwarded to the Hunter County Democrat, Times of Trenton, Star Ledger, Courier News, posted on the bulletin board and Township website, and filed in the Township's clerk's office on December 15th, 2021.
You want to do the roll call?
Mr. Castellano.
Here.
Mr. Mills.
Here.
Ms. Ramsey.
Here.
Mr. Sobieski.
I'm here.
Mr. Walker.
I'm here. Could we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Krista, do you want to do the agenda review?
Under consent agenda items, we're going to add a resolution for a red light siren permit, and we are going to take the resolution authorizing the use of the public radio for Planet Networks off and put that under regular resolutions. And we're going to, under regular resolutions, we're going to put a resolution to appoint assistant CFO and office assistant. And then under new business, we're going to add another event topic.
Okay. Announcements. By the way, tonight's meeting, I suspect, will be relatively short. Announcements. The municipal building will be closed only for evening hours on Tuesday, December 21st and Tuesday, December 28th. Tuesday evening hours will resume on January 4th. Our offices will be closed December 31st for New Year's Eve. We'll also be closed December 24th for Christmas Eve. The reorganization for the Township Committee will be held on Monday, January 3rd at 7:30 p.m. The annual rabies clinic will be held on Saturday, January 15th from 1 to 4 at the Municipal Garage. Any questions, call our office, extension 10. The 2022 reorganization dates for boards and committees will be posted on the bulletin board and on the Township's website. Christmas trees may be brought to the grit yard during the month of January for chipping. All trim should be removed. Item number 7, a special discussion regarding executive session. In our executive session this evening, the Township Committee discussed whether we would reappoint 3 of our existing professionals, our attorney, our engineer, and our planner. We put out a request for proposals for those 3 positions. We received and reviewed the responses, and the Township Committee, after some deliberation, decided that we were going to reappoint in 2022 our existing attorney, engineer, and planning board. With that, could I have a motion to approve the reappointment of our existing municipal attorney, municipal engineer, and municipal planner?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We also decided that we were going to reject all of the proposals for the planning board attorney. We had put out RFPs for the planning board attorney. And are we just making a motion to reject? We're not making a motion to appoint at this point, correct? So could I have a motion to reject all of the proposals for planning board attorney?
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Acknowledgements by the mayor. Our local fire company had Santa's breakfast this past weekend. It was really very nicely done.
Did you get your potatoes?
I did, and we brought one of our 4-legged children to meet Santa, and she was absolutely thrilled to meet Santa. It was a very nice time, and so I would like to thank our fire company, not only for the breakfast, but for taking Santa around on the fire engine for the kids to see throughout the
It was a
municipality.
busy night for them.
It was a very busy night because they were interrupted by a fire midstream, but they still managed to get done what they said they would get done. And bear in mind, these are all volunteers. These are not paid employees. They're doing this on their time. And I think it's really terrific. Even in the COVID environment, they figure out a way to let the kids enjoy the holiday. So I'd like to thank our local fire company for not only what they've done this holiday season, but what they do for us throughout the year. Approval of the minutes, we decided to defer the December 9th regular minutes until the next meeting, so we all have an opportunity to review them. We have no special committee reports this evening. The standing committee reports were in the Google Drive. Our planning board and our zoning officer both gave their reports for the third quarter. What I found rather interesting, and what I continue to find interesting about our zoning officer report, is the number of people who are applying for permits for generators. In fact, this past round, there were 3 on Harvest Hill alone. So
Generators and pools.
generators and pools. Well, the pools are a COVID thing.
Yes.
The generators, it's nice to see people getting generators. I think the storms are only going to get worse as time goes on. The power outages aren't going to get any better, and it's nice to see people getting generators. They are not inexpensive to buy, they're not inexpensive to run, but when the power goes out for a few days, you're sitting there saying to yourself, boy, am I glad I bought this generator. Okay, so now we're up to open to the public. Could I have a motion to open to the public?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone from the public like to speak? Allison?
Alison Castellano, 9 Park Court. Just announcing we announced the winners of the house lighting contest yesterday. The Parks and Recreation Committee pick was 20 Manors Road. The Ringo's Village Advisory Committee's pick was 44 John Ringo Road, and the Environmental Commission pick was 128 Amwell Road. All the participants' pictures of all the houses are on the Township website under their community events page. And obviously the winners are part of those too. So thank you to all those who participated. And we will be delivering the prizes to the 3 winning houses tomorrow.
Did you get a good turnout?
Yes, it's great. Yeah, it's awesome. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks,
I think you're going downhill.
I am.
It's a good thing it's a short meeting. Okay.
That's my life.
Anyone else from the public like to speak? Seeing no one, could I have a motion to close?
So moved. So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Consent agenda items. Christy E., do I need to sign something this evening, once we approve that? Do you have it to sign?
No, I think
Okay, all right, perfect. So on the consent agenda, we removed one item, which we're going to discuss separately. So we have 4 items on the consent agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the 4 items that are on the consent agenda?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Mr.
Okay.
Castellano,
Yes.
Mr. Mills,
Yes.
Ms. Ramsey,
Yes.
Mr. Sobieski,
Yes.
and Mr. Wolf.
Yes. Resolutions, item number 14 on the agenda. As you know, we have advertised for an assistant CFO. The goal would be to bring someone in that would train under Margaret, and then when Margaret retires, the middle or latter part of next year, this person would step into her shoes. There was not a groundswell of applications for the position. In fact, there seems to be a shortage of CFOs in New Jersey. There are actually a lot of positions open for CFO. We had interviewed some people, and to make a long story short, our tax collector is interested in becoming a CFO. Now, our tax collector has done a very good job as our tax collector, and she has already started taking classes for CFO, and we interviewed her and decided that she would be a good fit for the assistant CFO. The one issue is, by the time Margaret retires, Anne Marie, assuming that we wanted to make her the CFO, will not have the credentials at that point to be the CFO. It's going to take beyond Margaret's retirement for Anne Marie to get the credentials. So what that means is that we would have to get an interim CFO to at least oversee Anne Marie during the period between Margaret's retirement and Anne Marie being sufficiently credentialed that she could step in. Our QPA provides CFO services. So we're in the process of talking to the QPA to see what the arrangement would look like if they came in and functioned as our CFO during the period between Margaret's retirement and Anne Marie's being properly credentialed. We don't think there's much risk of Anne Marie not getting the credentials on time because she's actually had really good success with these state tests.
She's already taken the first class for CFO.
Yeah. And
By herself.
she passed the tax collector exam on the first round, and that has like a 40% pass rate. So on the first round. So we think this is just a matter of when, not a matter of if, in terms of her getting credentialed. And she said that if she ultimately stepped into the CFO position, what would probably happen is she would also take the shared service with Holland, and Holland's going to interview her. I don't know if that's happened yet. I spoke to their mayor, and they were going to interview her. And she would stay as our tax collector, and then the other position she had, she probably would give up and just be our CFO, Holland's CFO, which is a 36-hour-a-week job, and then our tax collector, which is another 6. That would put her at 42 hours a week. That's how she's looking at this. And whether it'll play out this way or not, no one knows, but we're not sitting there with a lot of choices. There really was not a groundswell of applications unless we wanted to hire a doorman from New York City who applies for every position at East Amwell. And I'm not exaggerating.
No.
He played
Yes,
again?
he applied again.
He had different credentials as this one,
Yeah.
though.
I mean, we are not getting the types of applications we really hoped we would get. But in any event, I think we are fortunate that Anne Marie wants to step in and take this. She's a known quantity, and we've been very happy with her as our tax collector. As far as I know, the residents like her. I have not received anything but compliments. So with that little bit of background in mind, could I have a motion to appoint Anne Marie as our assistant CFO and our office assistant effective January 3rd, 2022?
So moved.
Can I ask a few questions? I'm sorry. So
Yeah, let me just get a second, then I'll open it up for, could I have a second?
Chris, Mark.
Okay, sure, fire away.
Okay, so Margaret is supposed to retire at some point in 2022. That's what we're assuming, right?
She's gone in is it April?
She says she's going in April. We're gonna
April.
twist her arm and try to keep her a bit longer, but
Okay.
we won't keep her forever.
Okay, and then Anne Marie, I'm not familiar with the classes that it takes to become a CFO. So if she's taken one and passed, how many more does she have?
What you can do is go onto Rutgers and look up at the CFO classes.
I'm just like, are we gonna have this? What did you call it? A QPA?
Our QPA, yeah.
QPA, like, is that gonna be like for a year? Is that gonna be for like 5 years? Like,
It might be like, I think it was, I don't know. We that's what we have to get our arms around.
My recollection
3?
was it was gonna be somewhere, it was
3
gonna
and
be
4?
somewhere around 2 years.
2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And you have experience with our QPA?
John, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and we're like
Oh, he's amazing.
aligned. That,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we've been happy with his. He provides QPA services to municipalities generally.
What does QPA stand for?
It's our qualified purchasing agent. He's the one who makes sure that when we're buying stuff, we're adhering to state rules.
The local public contracts law and stuff.
Yeah, puts like the bid packages
So
together.
it's one of the services he offers.
Yes.
He's also offers, see, my neck's bothering me, so I'm having a little trouble swinging my head back and forth. He also offers, that's when you sleep with chihuahuas and your neck goes. He also offers a CFO service. We'd want to sit down and talk to him. The goal would be really to have Anne Marie effectively functioning as the CFO. Margaret said that even when she retires, she'll continue to help Anne Marie. And what Margaret told us is 80% of what Margaret does, Anne Marie should have no issue after she's trained for a few months. The other 20% takes a while, but Margaret said she'll hold her hand beyond Margaret's retirement on the other 20.
But there's like some stuff that happes like once a year or.
Yeah, the stuff that pops up
Periodic, yeah.
yearly.
Right.
Does
New Jersey,
the
yeah.
clock start when she begins this program, if you will? Like, does she have to get the certification within a certain period of time, and then she's disqualified, or does she start again? Like, let's say,
No, she could drag it out
Like me.
as long as she wants to get the certification, but she's going to get it as quickly as she can.
Try it.
But
just
even
saying-
then, it's not an easy certification to get, to be a CFO. And so I
hard.
think what Margaret said would there be about a 2-year window between the time Margaret retires and the time that Anne Marie is expected to get the full certification. And we'd be looking to enter into some sort of an arrangement with Canning to cover as the CFO, but Margaret would be doing virtually all the work. Canning would look over her shoulder because
Anne Marie.
obviously it's his, I'm sorry, Anne Marie would be doing it, but Canning would look over Anne Marie's shoulder because it's his license. But I would hope that the cost to get that coverage for those 2 years will not be significant, but we should know that soon.
I emailed him, so when I hear back, I'll let you guys know.
That was gonna be my next question, like, we pay him by the hour, like, or not?
I asked him for all the details, so.
Yeah.
Right now, the QPA, we pay him a flat fee every year. It's like 4,000?
5,000 a year.
5,000, yeah.
are we paying for her classes? Does the township pay for her classes?
We-
I guess my only
we
concern
will.
would be if we certify her and she jumps ship.
She has to
we-
reimburse us.
Okay,
Yeah, we usually have a stipulation where she has to stay employed for so long.
got it.
I think it's like 2 years.
Right, we have the same thing with Krista. Whenever we pay for classes like that, the employee has to agree to stay for a certain period or reimburse us if they leave early.
Perfect.
That doesn't prevent them from jumping ship after that lockout period ends, but it's not as though they could just finish and then leave.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. We have no ordinance for
Oh,
public.
you have to do the Planet Networks and so.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. Okay, Planet Networks, we took that off the consent agenda. Our attorney reviewed the contracts, he sent comments. I haven't looked at them yet. I'd like to look at his comments. I'd also like to look at the contracts, just myself, to see if I have any comments. So I'd like to defer, either do one of two things, either defer Planet Networks till the next meeting, or approve it this evening, subject to Frank and myself signing off on the contracts, whichever you prefer.
Why don't we just defer?
I
I'm
think we
fine with
defer,
that.
being that Frank's not here and
I'm fine with
you
that.
haven't reviewed it.
Okay, so we will defer that until the next meeting,
It'll be our regular.
our regular January meeting. Yes. Okay. We have no ordinances for public hearing, no ordinances for introduction, no unfinished business, so we're up to new business. We did A already.
Because that's reappointment at reorg.
Right, so we don't need to do anything with B.
Nope.
I thought somebody was coming in tonight to talk about the Klein Schmidt
No.
house. Okay, then I'll talk about the Klein Schmidt house, because I've now been through this at least twice since I've been on the Township Committee. The Klein Schmidt house is that dilapidated house on Old York, just off of 202, right by the cemetery. It's kind of hard to see it because there are trees growing in front. Mr. Klein Schmidt died years ago with no heirs. So right now, the ownership of that property is in limbo. Arguably, nobody owns it because he has no heirs. That house is dilapidated. It's next to the cemetery, and the cemetery has been asking the township to come in and demolish the house. Well, we don't own the house. We don't own the property. Could we get ownership? Maybe. But if we get ownership, where do we get the money to demolish the house? The last time I heard it was $30,000. And what happens if we demolish the house and we find an underground tank, an oil tank that was leaking? Now you're talking at least another $60,000 to $70,000, and that's minimum. When you have an underground tank that's leaking, you're generally looking at $60,000 to $70,000 minimum, and it could easily be double that. Where do we get the money? And what happens if there are multiple tanks? We don't know what's under that property. And I don't know why the cemetery thinks this is the township's problem. If my neighbor's barn falls onto my property, that's a problem between me and my neighbor. It's not the township's problem.
It's because they think the township owns the property.
Right, and I've told them repeatedly we don't own the property. Our lawyers have told them we don't own the property. It's not our property. And the cemetery every couple of years comes back and says, hey, East Amwell, take care of this, hoping they'll get a different answer, hoping that finally they'll hit a township committee that says, oh yeah, we'll take care of it. So my inclination would be to go back to the cemetery and tell them the same thing we've been telling them, which is we don't own it. If you want the property, we, the township, will work with you, the cemetery, to get title in your name. To the extent that we can do anything to facilitate that, we're happy to do it. And you deal with it. And if you want to take out the house, that's fine. And if there are underground tanks and there's an environmental issue, it's your issue. But if we have to spend $100,000 to $150,000 to demo and clean up this property, where are we getting that money? And for what? So that's the Klein Schmidt issue in a nutshell.
Does the church own that cemetery?
That cemetery is owned by a cemetery association. And apparently there's somebody buried there who comes from a very wealthy family. And that wealthy family has made noises over the years about perhaps paying to deal with the Klein Schmidt house. But to date, that hasn't happened.
It's one of the Rockefellers, right?
I think that's actually it, but I'm not positive of that.
One of the Rockefellers is buried there. Yeah.
None of the Castellanos.
Okay, so in any
Castellanos.
in any event, I think, I mean, unless anybody wants to discuss or has a different view on how we ought to handle this, I think we just go back to the cemetery and say to them the same thing we've said to them the last at least 2 times they've come in, which is, if you want it, we'll help you get it. Otherwise, it's not a township problem.
That makes sense.
Yeah, unfortunate, but
Okay.
we don't have the money.
Item D, which is an addition to the agenda, has to do with a township event. I'm going to take a couple of minutes to talk about this because I think it's very important, but it's only going to take a couple of minutes. I'm going to give a little bit of background and then I'm going to get into the event. In October of 2018, the Ridge at Backbrook applied to NJDOT for a helistop license to enable members of the Ridge to travel to and from its golf course by helicopter. In November of 2018, the Township Committee held a public hearing on this matter. Approximately 90 people attended the hearing, including not only residents, but also representatives from environmental groups such as the Sauerland Conservancy and the Watershed Institute. All who spoke at that hearing were against having helicopters take off and land in our agricultural district for non-essential purposes. This was by far the largest attendance at a Township Committee meeting during the 5 years I've been on the Township Committee. Following that hearing, numerous residents reached out to me and other members of the Township Committee to voice their opposition to the helistop. Additionally, residents and others wrote letters to NJDOT opposing the helistop, and approximately 2,500 people signed an online petition against the helistop. Although people articulated a host of reasons for opposing the helistop, a common theme emerged from the discussions, particularly from the experts who weighed in on the issue. Specifically, helicopters should not be taking off and landing in East Amwell for non-essential reasons. Our residents and others generally were okay with helicopters taking off and landing for emergency purposes, such as medevac flights. On the other hand, the vast majority of our residents and others were not okay with helicopters taking off and landing for non-essential reasons, mainly because, one, the agricultural district in East Amwell is an environmentally sensitive area with a host of wildlife, including birds that are endangered species. Two, helicopters spook horses, and that could result in those riding on our horse trails getting seriously injured. And three, a helicopter crash and the use of Class B firefighting foam by first responders to put out the fire could contaminate our well and water bodies. And as we all know, helicopter crashes are not rare. Without question, this helicopter issue has been one of the major issues in East Amwell in recent history. This past Saturday morning, I was informed for the first time that last Friday morning, as part of a Christmas holiday event at the East Amwell Township School, a helicopter with Santa Claus on board circled the school grounds at a relatively low altitude and landed in a field next to the school. The children at the event cheered, and Santa emerged from the helicopter and was transported across the field in a red truck to the children. I've been told that the event was a hit with the children, and I have no doubt that was the case. However, I have a significant concern regarding this event. How can we, as a township, say that helicopters should not be flying into and out of the ridge for non-essential purposes, but then condone a helicopter flying into and out of our school for a non-essential purpose? I've been told that the organization that organized the event received approval from Hunterdon County and from the township to have the helicopter fly in and out. I know absolutely nothing about the township giving its approval. I didn't condone this. Did any of the members on the township committee give approval for the helicopter to fly in and out of this event?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And when you gave that approval, I know, Mark, you're well aware of what was going on with the ridge, and you didn't see any issue with that.
Look, the ridge, the courts ruled the ridge had, the New Jersey Department of Transportation ruled that they adequately licensed for the ridge to authorize helicopters. And I felt it was in that vein that the New Jersey Department of Transportation had no issue with it, and it was fully legal, and that's why I decided to sign off on it.
You read the letters where we pointed out that the NJDOT did essentially no analysis in giving its approval. NJDOT has presented us with no evidence that they've done any analysis in giving its approval. Everything indicates that NJDOT rubber stamped it. And let me carry on a little bit further with this. The risk of the helicopter flying to and from our school, in my view, is much greater than the risk associated with a helicopter flying to and from the ridge. Specifically, what would have happened if the helicopter crashed while circling above the school, or while taking off or landing near the school? Think about the impact on the children, potential injuries or deaths, or at the very least, major mental trauma. Also, I don't even want to think about the potential liability to the school. This risk is compounded by the fact that the pilot of the helicopter, who is an East Amwell resident, is not a professional helicopter pilot, but rather is a recreational helicopter pilot. This person flies his helicopter periodically for fun and not regularly for a living. I'm also extremely disappointed by the fact that this helicopter pilot was a member of this township committee in 2018 and 2019 and witnessed firsthand the residents' strong opposition regarding the helicopter issue. I'm sure there are some that will respond, "Don't be a Grinch, the children love this event." I have no doubt the children love the event. I also have no doubt that if someone who donated $1 million to the East Amwell Township School would receive a groundswell of praise from the residents. However, if that person obtained the $1 million by robbing a bank, would you ignore the fact and continue to praise the donor? In other words, does the end justify the means? I'm sure that those who organized last Friday's event had the best of intentions, and I don't mean to condemn any of them. In fact, as I understand it, the person who spearheaded the event did not know about the history of the Ridge Helistop. However, for the reasons I just discussed, I believe that having a helicopter piloted by a recreational pilot circle at a low altitude above our school and land near our school is a very bad idea, and hopefully one that will not be repeated. And I'm extremely disappointed that you approved this. You know better. You read the letters. You read every one of my letters.
Don't start.
Who gave you authority to approve this? On behalf of the township, who gave you authority? I don't have authority to approve it, and I'm the mayor. I would have to bring this to the township committee. Who gave you authority? Krista? Our clerk gave you authority. Who gave you authority? You deserve to be scolded. You read these letters. You sat in these hearings. You know how the public feels about helicopters. How hypocritical is it for East Amwell to say to the Ridge, you can't fly, you shouldn't be flying helicopters in for recreational purposes, and then we do it.
New Jersey Department of Transportation licensed the Ridge to do it. So everything that they applied for, they did it, and they got approved for legal.
So you're saying anybody who wants to fly helicopters...
Don't twist it.
Keep your voice down, Rick.
You're saying
Right
anybody.
Look, are we going to make a big deal? This is what you want to do.
Yes, we're going to
All
make a
right.
big deal out of
It's
this.
it for the short meeting, but go ahead, Rick. Go
Because
ahead.
it was just inexcusable, hypocritical.
The final sentence.
You
Go ahead.
don't care.
That's not. Rick, stop. That's
You
ridiculous.
don't care.
Oh,
Can we move on?
it's not me.
You made your point. Let's move on.
It's just inexcusable.
Okay, Rick. That's your opinion.
It's not my opinion. It's the opinion of a number of people. How do you think I found out about this? I wasn't at the event,
It was all over Facebook and social media, so.
and I had people reach out to me saying to me, how are you allowing people to fly helicopters in and out when we're fighting this with the Ridge? And I said to them, I didn't even know anything about this. Nothing.
would
I am
suggest
so
if those
disappointed.
people have
Okay.
problems with it, that they reach out to Mark then, because I'd like to know who these people are, and maybe they can reach out to Mark.
I will tell them
I think that's a
that
great
this
idea.
was Mark's idea. That I had
No,
nothing
that's
to
not
do with
right,
it.
Rick. No. Don't say it's my idea.
You could have squashed this. You could
Why
have
would I
brought it
wanna
to the
squash it?
township committee. Why would you want to squash it?
You do know that I'm not taking a position of whether it should have happened or shouldn't happen. It's been going on for 20 years or more. Been going on forever. These helicopters at the school. So don't throw everything at him. This is not Mark Castellano's idea.
The township took a position on the Ridge Helistop. The vast majority of the residents
The vast majority of the residents. Well,
But
did
the
not
issue
want
with the-
helicopters
but the issue
flying
with
in and
the
out.
Ridge was like a regular license that they'd be granted 8 stops. I'm with John. I don't necessarily want to spend the rest of my night talking about this, but I wasn't aware. So in the past, helicopter landings have happened in the school for crossings.
Letter.
it's been
Issued
going
a
on for
letter.
a very long time.
And it was
We
not a
issued a
letter of
letter?
approval, it's a letter stating that they got the approvals
It's
that
been-
were needed.
It's been a tradition, more or less.
So
did NJDOT approve it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So we don't give approval, it's, we state a letter, I'll tell you what the letter states.
So my point is that people were opposed to the bridge because it would be regular occurrences. I think what we
also got
granted was
the
that it would
attorneys.
be
We also-
once a year. Frosties happens once a year. Frosties also didn't happen last year because of COVID,
Right.
right? So I don't think, you can really necessarily compare that the Ridge was a regular occurrence that would be happening over people's property. I think it's 8 times a month, if I remember correctly. This is a once a year.
How many
So,
helicopters have landed in the Ridge since they got their
I
license?
believe 0.
Right, so now there's 1 for the township and 0 for the Ridge. What are you talking about regular occurrences? The Ridge has
The
had 0.
license that they, I'm saying the license. that
Doesn't
they
matter what the
apply for.
license said. There've been
But
0
that's what the
takeoffs or
town was
landings.
against. That's what got the 90 people at the meeting was the regular license.
No, what got the
Not a
people-
one-time issue once a year at the school.
You weren't even at the meeting.
I listened to you.
The township-
That's what I'm saying.
the
You
township-
said 90 people were here. I listened. I
Correct.
knew I wasn't in the meeting.
I didn't say 90 people were here to complain about regular flights in and out. I said 90 people were here to complain about non-essential flights.
This is a once a
think
year
that's
tradition.
100% accurate.
It's a non-essential flight. So you're saying the rules don't apply to us. They only apply to the Ridge.
I'm not saying that actually.
Yes, you are.
I listened to John and I said, oh wow, this has been happening. Krista's saying we granted a letter. So this is not Mark. This is not Mark, giving away things up here.
It is Mark giving away. He said he
No,
approved
but
it.
if it was
He didn't
done
bring
in
it to
the
the
past,
township
it's not
committee.
like Mark was devious and all the other words. you
If
just
bad
called
things
him.
were done in the past, does that mean we should continue to do them?
What bad
There were
things
many
happened
things
in-
that
what
have been
bad
done-
what bad things happened in the past?
There
with
have been
a
many-
helicopter landing and bringing Santa to a school.
There have been many things that were done in the past in this township that we decided weren't appropriate, and we changed them, starting in 2018.
This is like 5 days before Christmas. Can we just, you scolded, everyone heard, it's all on YouTube. Can we just be done with it?
I'm fine being done with it, but
Perfect.
it is
Moving on.
extremely
We
disappointing.
heard you the first time.
And you'll hear me again.
I can't wait, Rick. I can't wait.
No, Francis, next year and the year after, I'm not going anywhere.
Oh, no, I haven't
Okay.
gone anywhere for 25 years,
Right.
dude.
We're
Okay,
not open to the public.
all right,
And
so,
this item also wasn't on the agenda, and I just checked again. But I find that like a little suspicious too, Rick. Like, why wasn't I kept checking the agenda all the way up until I just checked right now? It's still not on the agenda.
because it took me until today to figure out what was happening, because nobody spoke to me about this. I knew
Nobody spoke to
nothing.
me about it either. But
You
it
don't-
wasn't on the agenda.
You don't think if we're going to fly a helicopter and at a municipality that's made it very clear that we don't want helicopters flying in and out, that should have brought to the attention of the township committee? You don't think that should have happened?
I know that Frosty's happened within like weeks because the PTO was given approval to do it within weeks. So I don't even think that's even possible. But
It is very possible because we get emails all the time saying, here's what we're looking to do. If you have an issue, please reach out to our municipal attorney or our clerk. So don't tell me this couldn't have been brought to our attention. If they had weeks to do it, they had plenty of time.
We reached out to the municipal attorney.
so Frank knew about this, and Frank said yes. Okay.
Frank doesn't know about the the details of the Ridge helistop.
Frank, our attorney, who's been representing
Frank?
us in litigation, I'm
Frank?
pretty sure he knows about
Frank
the
was
Ridge.
not representing us with the Ridge helistop or with the litigation that
Pretty
was
sure
relevant
Frank
to the Ridge
has all of the
helistop.
history on what's happened
No, he
recently.
doesn't. If he were here tonight, you could ask him and he would tell you. He does not.
No, he's represented us on other matters that are.
And it's not up to Frank to make
I
that
know, but it's
decision.
just- okay,
He's not an elected official. It's up to the elected officials.
point taken. It wasn't
Okay.
on the agenda. Point taken.
Right, and I explained why it wasn't on the agenda. Okay. We are now open to the public for the second time. Can I have a motion to open to the public?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Yes.
Hi, Frida Ralph, One Linville Road. I was gonna talk about the Klein Schmidt house, but now I just want to say that I agree with you, Mr. Wolf, on the helicopter issue, and we did lose the battle with the Ridge, and but helicopters are dangerous. In addition to a possible crash, if I were a parent of a child or anything else, or just somebody that lived close by and knew people, had grandchildren in the school system, and I'm driving down Route 202, I might have crashed. And I have ridden in a helicopter once in my life, and it was out of British Virgin Islands, air ambulancing my husband off of Virgin Gorda when he had a major heart attack. It was scary as all hell, and I will never ever do a recreational helicopter ride, and I'll just move on from that. And I just wanted to, I understand the Klein Schmidt house is falling down and whatever, and I assume that if there's no heirs that the taxes are in arrears, which is possibly one of the people at the cemetery think that the township should just take it. But I have a question about a different property, and I know nothing about it, but I've lived close to it for 41 years. And that's the old falling down house. If you turn right on Losey Road and go to the end and turn right again, there's a falling down house with, it's beyond repair probably, and a barn that's even worse. I'm wondering, is that preserved land or non-preserved land? Does anybody
That's
know
the,
what's going on with that house?
No, it's, is it the white?
It's a white house on the
No,
right.
they just had two lots of land for sale on both.
I need an address.
Yeah, is it what, you know what road it's on for you?
Yeah, Rocktown Road.
It's on
I know
Rocktown.
which property you're
Yeah,
talking
it's-
about, some
Farmhouse in the back.
other
It's the first one on
residents,
the right
yeah,
when you-
I know which
when
house you're
on
talking
Losey
about.
Road and you turn right on Rocktown
Oh,
Road.
Rocktown Road, the farmhouse that had the movie?
No. Oh,
Then
well,
Mr. Lee's?
no, it's not Mr. Lee's.
So it's condemned, right? Not condemned, it's.
No, I think it is where they had the movie, Krista.
They're working on it.
They had the movie?
Yeah, I think that was the one.
They're working on it. They're trying to fix it up.
So nobody knows really. I'll have to research.
Someone owns it and they're trying to fix it up.
They're trying to fix it up because there's another house farther down that was owned by Callaway, and I don't know if he's dead or if his estate's not settled or what. And he was a very wealthy person. I think he was head of Callaway Real Estate. And that house is boarded up also, and
That's what I'm thinking of.
it's
That's
gonna be
that's
sold.
the Lee house, I think,
No,
the second
but the
one.
one she's talking to, as soon as you come on Rocktown to right, people are living there now, the one that's set back.
This one's not set back, you
No,
see it.
the one where the movie is not falling down though.
Google Maps, baby. Find this shit.
Well, let me
Anyway, yeah.
address your question
Right.
generally. We have
Tommy.
a number of properties like that in
Uh-huh.
East Elmwell, including in the village.
Right,
And at the last meeting, we talked about working on a property maintenance ordinance
yeah,
that would give us the ability to go after the owners of properties like that.
yeah.
Now, is that necessarily gonna solve anything? I think the answer is probably no.
It's got major, it's got probably 20 acres, 10 to 20 acres.
Right, but the problem is that the people who let their houses deteriorate like that, Krista can write them tickets, and she's already done that. We have one that has 5 summonses, a house that has 5.
Oh, well.
They just ignore,
Ignore
you up
it,
to
yeah.
6 now?
6 appearances.
6?
No show.
Don't they like,
The court can't do anything to enforce it,
Uh-huh.
and the township isn't going to want to take ownership of these
Right,
properties for the
yeah.
reasons that I've discussed, because then what do you
Sure.
do when there are problems? So, we're gonna do the best we can to try to grapple with some of these properties, but it's not an easy problem to
Yeah.
solve.
Yeah, I'm just curious, because I spent half my life as a realtor. Half my professional life as a realtor.
You know, it's, when you're dealing with a budget where you're kvetching over hundreds of dollars,
Right, oh, sure. I
facing 30, 40,
Yeah.
50, or $100,000
Yeah, oh, yeah.
to fix it up. Now, look, there may be somewhere it's worth the candle, because the land is worth such that even if you had to spend 100 or 150,000, you could sell the property and recoup it, but you still have to spend the upfront costs and then try to get it back later, which also wreaks
Actually,
havoc on our budget.
My brain is recollecting, I think that it was at one point listed as a set of multiple properties with land across the street, which I think may have been sold, because there's been improvement driveway going in, and maybe they're gonna build when somebody gets. So maybe maybe the question's already answered, maybe it's sold.
Or an estate.
But maybe the house you're referring to is going to get fixed up. Maybe we'll be fortunate and it'll be fixed up and that
Let's hope
problem
so.
will go away. It won't resolve the
It's
other
sad.
problem on Rocktown, which we're working on. And he's supposedly going to fix that one up too, but we'll see.
Yep,
Anything else?
no.
Anyone else from the public? Francis?
My light stopped working. Oh boy. Ho ho. Francis Gavigan, 123 Wurtzfeld Road, Ringgoes, New Jersey. I was at all the meetings with the bridge. I have also seen things on Facebook about, well, when is Santa gonna come by on the fire truck? How many fire trucks have been driven by us? And I have yet to see kids running and screaming and dying at the sight or presence of one. I've seen an occasional person. But when you've got the school here, and you've got a building, and then they land in a field of what, soybeans or grass or whatever, you're really a little bit out of the zone. Now, I picked up on the I don't want to be a Grinch comment, and that is an inference to an email that I hope you feel better, but it ain't going to be anytime soon. That was sent out with all the brouhaha, with the tree lighting and all the drama and everything associated with that on Facebook, in emails, in texts, on whatever. There is a point at which grand gestures become harassment by opportunity. Everyone has a constitutional right, and you're an attorney, Jenna, and others. You know, you do realize it, but I don't think when you go into court when you were a prosecutor and there were long soliloquies before a judge and a gavel were making contact sounds. I am asking the Township Committee to, and this refers to something that was blown up as a constitutional right and an attempt to squash people's ability to say anything or whatever, to just as the public is limited to their time, that what you spoke about a couple months ago, that the new committee member and the others have a discussion. I suspect there will be a break in how it is, but that there be some norms, controls, and ability to move on, as you said, Tara, without the 4 members who are not the mayor or whatever having to get up, walk out, and break quorum as the only means of containing the silliness. You can use the bully pulpit. You can use all Facebook and all sorts of things to intimidate and harass people. That tends not to work on me, but I am aware of people that it has worked on and have been talking with. The big blow up over the tree lighting, you know, and the sacred Clausen house. You know, I got an email saying, would you, you know, as a member of Historic Preservation Committee, what do you think of the tree lighting or maybe having Santa at the house? My response, I think it was my only response, was, seems like a good idea. Because what do you want? You want people to use the building, you want people to see things, foot traffic, it's a park. I have been known to go call out to kids to say, hey kids, want to see a museum? And done tours that way. But it was overwhelming success from all of the media, except for some small population that by fiat or other things said, and I do have the documentation of it, but not on me, no, Santa can't come in the house, no, we won't do this, kids, whatever. And because it was a done deal, the house was going to be used because it is a township building, and the Historic Preservation Society, our only rights are squatter rights. You could tell us to get the hell out tomorrow. I started to get decorations out and start getting ready for the tree lighting. While all of this sturm and drang and no. Anyway, the long and the short of it, and I'm not going to bore anybody, is that it happened. The house got decorated. A few people in the society officers quit as officers. and there were some unpleasantries. And as a result of that, hi, I'm the de facto president of the society because I had the job nobody else wanted. I'm the president now of the East Amwell Historical Society. The East Amwell Preservation Committee is going to be holding their meeting there tomorrow night, actually using the building that hosts and houses the quick collection that the Preservation Committee has ownership and control of through the township. There are other entities and boards that have expressed some interest in, hey, let's work together and then maybe get more use out of it than a place for things to sit. I personally am in favor of that. To get back to the point, and I'm glad this is the second because there's not a clock running, a means of intimidation was used, fully legal, I understand, and I got a copy of this, which is an Oprah request from the mayor for any written correspondence, including, let's see, letters, emails, text messages, and direct messages sent or received by any member of the East Amwell Township Parks and Recreation Committee, Historic Preservation Committee, or Township Committee, or by any township employee during the period commencing on October 1st, 2021, and ending on December 7th, 2021, discussing the use of the East Amwell Township Museum building, also known as Clausen House, as part of the township's holiday gathering and tree lighting at Clausen Park on December 3rd. Sounds ominous. This, along with, was forwarded to a whole bunch of people. I find it interesting that the form, although the form is legal,
Our Oprah company that does it online.
is
That's why
whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, well, whatever it is, I have subsequently learned that, yeah, it's legal. So the one response, which was, I think it's okay, go ahead. And oh, by the way, I'm getting the decorations out, and we'll start to work.
You have to give me that response.
I know I have to. But the delay in doing that and why it isn't is, in the last month, I have had 2 surgeries. The most recent last Tuesday. Missed most of a work of week. And if you want, I'll show you the scars. Felt like somebody installing gills. So, it was a spurious and intimidating email. Because the morning after, I refused at the Grange when I was cooking with my hand and other stuff, getting ready for that entity's potluck, to answer how access to the building had been pulled. Because one of the resignations was not just the president and the secretary, it was also the museum coordinator, Jim Underwood, who had access, but it turns out he didn't have a code. And I'd sent a letter to Krista about what it was, and I think some codes got pulled because they didn't know. He was in the building for months, but how did he get there? Again, to get back to it, and I'm not currently on it, all of this, and I'm sorry, I will be blunt, crap, whether it's to the audience, to the ethos, to the fall campaign, the year, wherever, does harm. First, do no harm. I've had a lot of people express interest in joining the society. All of that email back and forth spooked the hell out of people. Some people like, am I going to be dragged into court or this, that, and the other? and had to be talked down or talked to by others other than myself, because we've got to get members and we've got to get trustees and we need to have access. You know, hey, you may want to join and come and see, or bring your kids. They can't touch things, but it does harm. It scares people. We lost as part of the no. My response within the society, which is not covered by this, was, you know, hey, it's for the kids. I'm not going to be the Grinch. And I gather that got around. And nobody wanted to be the Grinch, but a couple of people did not want it to happen and said, you can't do it because I, as this role, or I as mayor or whatever, have that kind of authority. And the society doesn't have any authority other than to try to clean the building, keep it from burning down, and be pleasant and respectful to people when they come through. And believe it or not, I can do that fairly effectively, because since the second meeting in November, when everybody took their toys and went home, I've been opening the building for the weekends. John Bockwalter has helped a couple times too, and we're getting traction. People like the decorations. They like it. There was something said by one of the Clausen daughters or granddaughters about this was what they wanted, the intention for the park and for the house, to go back to what the history they knew. It's not a sterile thing. It's a building. So we will be using, at least, you know, if, depending on how things go in reorg, unless somebody wants to come in and say, well, I want to be king, queen, whatever, or we get some more trustees and members, then I would like to see it used. I'd also like to speak to whoever's going to be mayor from the amount of flack that's been flying this evening. I suspect it's going to be you, Mr. Castellano, and would like to start in the beginning of the year to work out some kind of a possession use, what the rules of the road would be to have the gracious use of township and taxpayer property, and also to work with Parks and Rec, whomever, Girl Scouts, whatever, you know, to make the thing available not only for other groups, but historians, people who want to use the records that we have above the flood line to go and see what, you know, is in there. I had a very pleasant conversation with Candace Wiggums, who told me the 50 years of VIP records washed through her basement windows and were ruined. We've got a set up there in the archive, the whole set, you know, and it would be an interesting project for a high school or a kid to go and say, well, in the year I was born, what was going on in East Amwell? The VIP is a very nice synopsis of that, and then you can drill down to that. The intern that one of our trustees got, Alexis Andricoli, arranged for and hosted and all that, we now have the quick collection that's indexed. You know, I may donate a computer or an extra computer that I have so that someone can use the Wi-Fi that we've provided, and they can actually get a list of what they would want to see. Then the creaky cripple, otherwise known as myself, will go up the stairs with them into the archive room, and it can get used. A museum that is not being used to grow souls, minds, and community, which the tree lighting thing was certainly a major league community event, is just a box with boxes. And a lot of the boxes that were boxes, you know, they're not very pretty at this point in time. But we have an opportunity to have a vibrant part of the community be used. Traditionally, we have not opened the museum in January and February because the winter months, it was just going, then COVID. I will open it, and I suspect John Buckwalter would be back and other docents would, so that we will be open in January. We've got a program, I think on the 26th, that our township historian is going to give a talk. Flyers were handed out at the tree lighting, and I'll give the stuff to you, maybe Krista, to put on the website. And so for this to be used and to be vibrant, but this kind of excrement squared in the sense of false humanity. This isn't Mr. Smith goes to East Amwell. Maybe Mr. Bull, but not Mr. Smith. Do harm. They scare people away, and we want to have them. The second weekend of the month is the Christmas, this coming weekend. The museum will be closed on Christmas, but I have it on good authority that an elf is going to be present on Boxing Day. Yeah. Might have a big butt, but that not only will be there for when the parents have a little bit of a, you've had enough of your kids and enough of the sugar or candy canes, maybe to have a little reading circle to read to the kids. My father read to me. It may be where I got some of my oratorical skills. Who knows? He did voices. I've bought some books. There are some historic books, and to where, you know, kids. And so that nothing is damaged, I've got a big sheepskin rug that can protect the sacred floor. And they can sit there, and we can have a little reading thing. This might be something that would be of interest to parents or the community at different times and outside of the normal schedule, because I imagine your weekends are filled, if you're a parent, with soccer games, basketball games, baseball, whatever. You know, but there might be a need or an interest in having a warm, welcoming place with china and limos safely stored, and to bond and to build some community within the community outside of this stuff. So I would hope that that would be welcomed, you of the parental species. I'm not one. The world was saved from my gene pool. Give some thought to it. Talk to me about it. See if you want to become involved. If you're involved with the school. You know, there's enough stuff on Allison Castellano's plate to feed half of the known world. And that we can start backfilling some of these bridges to our past in our present. Because what we do today and what's been going on with the Ridge, and I've been at every bloody meeting, since, and almost every meeting of Township Committee, Planning Board, Board of Adjustment and stuff since the late 90s, which makes, and I do want to stop doing that, and make myself available to create a spark so there can be some passing of the torch to where somebody else gets interested and enthusiasm, because it can't, the 80-20 rule has turned into the 90-10 rule, and it's working towards 95-5, and it burns out the 5%ers. I think we need to broaden our community, and do things differently, and please, as one of your earlier orders of business, and maybe we can communicate the legalities and things like that of what limiting Mr. Smith's or Mr. Wolf's soliloquies and abilities. I mean, if you were so concerned, we wouldn't have had all of these lawsuits. You know, and things like that. I spoke against the Ridge. I spoke against the Ridge when they got things back in the 2000s and 2015s, and about why the water testing wasn't done when they were given relief. It got me exactly nowhere. But there is a place, you know. They sued, they won, game over, set and match, and unless you're going to be banning fire trucks in Santa, you know, I don't think Peter Miller flying a helicopter and landing one day a year at the school out of the way of the people in the school is a cause celeb. So, yeah, I can hear okay and all of that other stuff, but again, it is. And Merry Christmas to all. Come by on Sunday. I suspect the elf will be there. 1 to 4, Clawson Park. And we can work together next year. And I will respond to this request, but I will pull it in full context, including the secondary piss and vinegar that was on Facebook and sent out and back and forth so that we can move forward. And I'll even probably print it out and have it in a binder then that somebody could reference somewhere should they ever want to do a study on whatever. This is the last meeting of the year, right? And then it starts all over, right? Thank you, Chris. You've been a good public servant. You've certainly been a friend to Clawson House and the Historical Society. And I know you have your arms crossed, but I want to cross one slightly behind your back.
I'm cold.
To not only join, yeah, well, I know where you live, to join and consider being a trustee. Jenna, the same invitation applies to you. You're involved with, you know, it's been, yeah, I know you're both. I've said it before, and many people that are here have heard it before, is I've been an equal opportunity offender in my life, to where the EADA didn't like me, the Republicans didn't like me, individuals like, and then there were a few isolated people who did. So, you know, let's agree to disagree. Please set a time limit. And I wasn't here for the first one, and I am shutting up, Frida. Bye.
Allison?
Alison Castellano, 9 Pearl Court. Okay, so there are 3 parents up on the dais right now that have children in our school. Clearly, my husband obviously signed off on the helicopter landing, so obviously agreed with it. Did you complain when the letter went out, the email went out before the landing, letting parents know? No. Did you? No. An email went out the day before, letting parents know a helicopter will be landing as part of a scheduled event.
And text messages.
And text messages, and I'll give you the exact sentence actually. Please do not be alarmed, as this is a scheduled event and not due to any emergency. Thank you. This came out from the school. It did not come out from the PTO. It came out from the school. Many times in the past, I've heard it said here that the school pretty much work independently from the township. As I said, there's parents up there. There wasn't one complaint that came in from a parent with any worry about what was going on. The event was posted, and you know I posted it. and I'm sure that's where you got a lot of your information, with pictures and videos the next day. Tons of praise, loved it, everyone loved it. Everyone, you know, reflecting on memories of their own time at Frosty's, and over the last 40 years, this event has gone on. To my knowledge, a helicopter's landed there 3 times. One was a state police helicopter. 2 times with the pilot that was there yesterday, or Friday rather. It's comical to me, and it's obvious to pretty much everyone in this township, that the tree lighting blow up, as Francis called it, and this is aimed at me and / Mark, who is running again next year along with yourself, Rick. Clearly you won't be running together. It's clear to everybody, please don't think you're convincing everyone. It's clear what you're doing. We all know what you're doing. You're trying to find some dirt and making it stick. Good luck. I hope you can find something, because you won't have the support of people who supported these events. Both of these events, there's a bit of a common theme, isn't there? Children and parents with children who have been at these events. All loved the events. But for someone who, over the last 3 years, has supported everything that Parks and Recreation has done, and pretty much up until, hold on, March, been at every event, pretty much, has supported it, praised it, and everything else, suddenly all stopped in March. Funny, isn't it? What happened in March? Anyone remember? 25 acres. Or didn't, as the case may be. So, you know, everyone do your homework, that's all I say. Do your homework, watch all the township meetings from February, start in February all the way through the year. And just make up your own mind when it comes to it. Because he's been in support of everything and now isn't, and wants to find some dirt to stick. Good luck.
Anyone else? Kathy?
It's almost 8 o'clock.
I'm going to read a text message that I
Name,
found.
name and address,
Kathy
please.
Wolf, 2021 Renierson Road. Text message that I found from December of 2019.
She needs to speak louder, I can't hear you.
A text message that I found on my phone from December of 2019 from Allison to me saying about Frosties. After all the back and forth of how to bring Santa in on Friday, we went from a high-tech idea, the helicopter, which of course decided not the best idea, to low-tech. The kids loved it. 2019, she knew it was a bad idea. 2021, I guess it was a good idea.
Frida?
Just a quick humorous thing in terms of what, you know, Frida Ralph again, Woodland Road. You know, I've lived here for 41 years and raised my kids.
Stop. Allison, one at a time, please.
I'm not talking to you.
You're talking while she's trying to
not
speak.
talking to you.
I don't care.
I do.
We're controlling this meeting.
I am not
She's
talking
trying to
to you.
speak. Show a little respect.
Okay, and I'm not
Respect.
trying to say anything bad against anybody, but just a lot of us older people who lived here before, I mean, when our kids were young, it was a different world. And I actually the other day, I've been having migraines, so I wasn't on the internet, and I was up putting around in my kitchen, and all of a sudden the fire trucks are screaming down my road, and I go charging out the door, and it's slowing down close to my house, and it's like, well, my next door neighbor since 2014 is afraid of fire. Her house is not on fire. My new neighbors that live on the flag lot have 5 children. What's going on? I go rushing out the door. I see their vans there and the fire truck. I thought there was an emergency, and it was Santa. You know, so things have changed, and not necessarily for the bad, but there is, you know, just a, you know, for me, an older person, there's just a reluctance to have all this noise and lights, and I don't even know what the Christmas tree event is. I didn't follow that, but you know, it's just, you know, we need to move slowly if we want to retain our rural character. And a helicopter flying in for Santa, just to me is too much. And I won't say it anymore. Thank you.
Look, and by the way, in 2019, this idea was brought to me to fly Santa in on a helicopter. And I said then what I said now, which is it's a very bad idea. And the PTO decided not to move forward with it. That's the text message that Kathy just read. Now all of a sudden in 2021, it's a good idea. What changed in March 2021? It wasn't the rezoning. It was that I saw the true colors of certain people. I saw the hypocrisy. Emails were shared with me about people who say one thing in public and then turn around and stab other people in the back behind in private. And if you want to deny any of that, Allison, next meeting I'll have Kathy come in and read a whole bunch of those text messages where you praise people in public and then in private you turn around and stab them in the back.
I think we need to get back
You
on
are a
track.
hypocrite.
Mr. Mayor,
That's what changed in 2020.
We're holding,
we don't need this now.
I didn't close to the meet in the
Well, what are you
public.
gonna do? You gonna start the whole slew?
Why are you
We're
jumping
right at
back
the end.
in
Let's-
again?
I'm gonna,
Why-
I'm gonna
why-
move close
why-
to the public
why-
right now. Put the end on this, please.
Why do I have to sit here and take this and
Can
not be
somebody
able
second
to
my
respond? Anytime I try to respond, you get cranky.
We got a first and second on the close to the public.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'll take you up on the offer next meeting. We'll bring the texts in. And you can try to quiet me. Try to quiet her when it's open to the public.
All right, Rick, it's over with.
No, it's not.
No, it is over with.
No, it's
It
not.
is.
We
The
just
open to the
closed to the
public is
public.
closed.
I'm not
That's
in the
it.
open to the
Well,
public.
we're moving on the
I'm
agenda.
responding to
We're
you.
moving on the
Mark, what's
agenda.
next?
I'm
Approval
fine
of the
moving on the
bills?
agenda. I'm
Yeah,
just letting you know
yeah.
what to expect.
Okay, I looked at the bills, I'm aligned. You guys, anyone take a look?
Don't see any issues.
Okay.
Okay, could I have a motion to approve the bills of the evening?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Nothing on the
Castellano,
Oh,
Yes.
Mr. Mills,
Yes.
Ms. Ramsey.
Yes.
Mr. Sobiewski.
Yes.
yes. Nothing on administrative reports, nothing on correspondence, so could I have a motion to adjourn?
Hold, before we go, I just wanted to say thank you, Chris, for your service and your dedication to other committees that you were on, and hope you're on to bigger and better things.
Yeah, well, I was gonna wait till we made the motion, but I just wanna thank the people of East Stanwell for giving me the opportunity to serve. It's been mostly a pleasure, and yeah, I wish, all of you the best. Some of you are gonna need it more so than others, and yeah, that's about all I got. Thank you.
I just, before you go, Chris, I also want to say thank you, but I hope you'll continue with your public service.
We'll see what
I
happens.
hope that you don't think that this is really the way it's going to be. I think this is an anomaly. I think in most places, people actually speak to each other civilly. So don't give up your public service. I think you do a great job.
Well, thank you, John. I appreciate that. Do we have a first and second?
Yes, we did.
Who did it first?
I
All-
think I did.
No second.
I'll second. Last act is,
hurrah.
yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.